There is a very specific, a very distinct smell inside a courthouse.
Oh, yeah.
A mix of like industrial floor polish, old paper, and just stress.
It creates a visceral reaction, doesn't it?
It really does. And honestly, it doesn't matter if you're walking in there for a traffic ticket or, a felony trial. The second you step through those metal detectors, the whole atmosphere changes.
It gets heavy.
It's so heavy. It feels designed to make you feel small. And for the average person, it is, frankly, one of the most terrifying experiences you can go through.
Well, that isn't an accident. It's what we call structural pressure. The high ceilings, the echoing marble, the judge sitting way up high.
Yeah.
That's all architecture designed to project authority.
And to strip you of yours.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the stack of papers we're looking at today. Usually on this show, if we're talking law, we're deep diving into, defense strategies, legal precedents, very cerebral stuff.
Right. Strategic.
But today is different.
Very different.
We are looking at a text titled Divine Peace Within the Halls of Justice. And the mission here isn't about how to file a motion or, how to cross-examine a witness. It's about how to survive the internal collapse that happens when that whole system comes crashing down on you.
Right. This is a spiritual framework. The source material is explicitly anchored in the Bible, but it's being applied to this very gritty, very real-world problem. How do you keep your sanity when your future is in the hands of a stranger in a black robe?
And to be clear, reading through this is not just some generic think positive advice.
Not at all. It's really a tactical guide for your mind and your spirit. The whole premise is that while your lawyer is fighting the external battle, the evidence, the jury, you have to fight an internal battle against panic and hopelessness.
And the source argues that there's a powerful truth available that can override all that fear.
The idea that God is in control, even when the situation looks like total chaos.
So let's get into the specifics. Who is this actually for? Because the text starts with a list, and it seems pretty comprehensive.
It covers the full spectrum of legal nightmares. It lists the obvious ones, people on trial, people in jail or prison. But then it gets into the limbo states, which I think are often ignored.
Like people waiting to get bonded out.
Or people on probation.
The one that really stood out to me was the phrase, waiting for the truth to be told.
Yeah, that's a heavy one.
It implies this specific kind of agony. You're not just in trouble, you're misunderstood. The story about you is wrong, and you're just stuck waiting for a chance to fix it.
And that waiting period is often where people just break. When you're waiting for the truth to be told, you feel completely powerless. You can't just stand up and yell your side of the story. You have to follow the procedure. You have to wait.
And in that silence, anxiety just explodes. So right there in that high pressure moment, the source offers its first instruction. And it's shockingly simple. It's one word.
Breathe.
Breathe.
Yeah.
God is still God, and ADC is in control.
It's so interesting that it starts with physiology, not theology.
How so?
Well, think about the biological response to a courtroom. It's classic fight or flight. Your heart rate spikes, your muscles tense up, your breathing gets shallow, or you just hold your breath.
Right.
By telling the reader to breathe, the source is acting as a physical anchor. It's saying, look, you cannot access spiritual peace if your body is in full-on survival mode. You have to regulate the machine first.
So it's disrupting that panic loop.
Exactly. And then once you take that breath, it drops the theological anchor. God is still God.
I want to push on that a bit.
Yeah.
Because if I'm sitting in a holding cell or I'm looking up at a judge who has the power to lock me away for 20 years,
Yeah.
it feels like they are God.
For sure.
They have the power, they sign the paper, I go away.
And that is the illusion the system creates. Look, in a practical sense, of course they have authority, but the source is trying to reframe the hierarchy in your mind. It's acknowledging that while the state has power, it doesn't have ultimate control.
It restores a sense of scale.
Precisely. It prevents the legal system from becoming this idol of fear.
Okay, so to back this all up, the source moves to what I'd call the core mechanism of the whole document. It quotes a specific passage from the Bible, Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. And I want to read it exactly as it's written here.
Go for it.
Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus.
Be anxious for nothing.
That feels, I don't know, almost insulting, doesn't it? If someone is facing a felony charge, telling them don't be anxious is like telling a drowning man, don't be wet.
If you read it as a command to just switch off your feelings, yeah, it's impossible. But that's not how the source unpacks it. It's not about suppressing your emotion, it's a transaction.
A transaction, what do you mean?
Look at the structure. Be anxious for nothing, but it's offering a trade. You take this heavy, toxic anxiety that is crushing you, and you exchange it for something else.
Or exchange it for prayer and supplication.
Right.
We hear those words a lot in religious contexts, but is there a functional difference there?
Oh, absolutely. The distinction is crucial, especially in a legal context. Prayer is the general term, communication. But supplication, that comes from a root word meaning to bend or to fold. It implies a deep, tangible need.
So it's not just talking.
It's the difference between chatting with a friend and begging for water in a desert. Supplication is the 911 call. It's raw. It's specific. It's laying out the exact details of your crisis.
I am terrified of this verdict. I don't have the money for this.
Yes, it's getting real about the vulnerability.
Okay, so we have the anxiety, we have the raw request for help, but then there's a curveball. The text says to do this with thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part.
Logically, it makes no sense. You're in a crisis. Why would you be thankful? Thanks for the handcuffs. Because fear causes what psychologists call cognitive tunneling. When you're terrified, your vision just narrows. All you can see is the threat, the prosecutor, the jury, the worst case scenario. You literally lose the ability to see anything else.
So gratitude isn't just about being polite to God. It's a mental hack.
It's a disruptor. Thanksgiving forces your brain to widen the lens. Even if the only thing you can be thankful for is, I am still breathing, or my family hasn't given up on me, finding that one thing breaks the tunnel vision. It reminds you that your life is bigger than this one court case.
That's a powerful shift. So you make the trade. You give up the anxiety. You offer the supplication and the gratitude. And the text promises a result, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding.
I love that phrase, surpasses all understanding.
It sounds poetic, but what does it actually look like in practice?
It means it's illogical.
Right.
If you are sitting in a courtroom waiting for a verdict and you are calm, that just doesn't make sense. Logically, you should be a wreck. If you're in a cell and you're sleeping soundly, that defies understanding.
So it's not peace because the problem is solved.
No, it's peace in the middle of the fire. It's a supernatural calm that exists in contradiction to your circumstances.
And the text says this peace has a specific job. It says it will guard your hearts and minds.
And the Greek word used there is actually a military term. It means to mount a garrison, to post a sentry.
So peace is on guard duty.
Exactly. Think about what happens to your mind during a trial. It's under constant attack. Intrusive thoughts, scenarios playing out on a loop, self-blame, the prosecutor's voice.
It's relentless.
It's an assault. And the text says this supernatural peace stands at the door of your mind like a soldier. It says, no, that thought doesn't get in. That panic doesn't get in. It preserves your internal integrity while the external world is trying to tear you apart.
Which flows perfectly into the next section of the source material. After the scripture, it actually gives you the words to say. It provides a scripted prayer.
Which I really appreciate, because when you're in trauma, you often don't have the words. Your brain is just fogged. Having a script, a roadmap, is incredibly helpful.
And the roadmap starts internally. Before it even asks for the charges to be dropped, it asks for things like steady their heart, silence fear, strengthen their mind.
That one, strengthen their mind, is so practical. Legal battles are intellectually exhausting. You have to understand complex procedures, remember dates, listen carefully to testimony.
Make huge decisions with your lawyer.
Yes, you need cognitive sharpness. Asking God to clear the fog and strengthen your mind is a really strategic request.
And then it pivots to the external.
Right.
The actual case. And this is where the prayer gets bold. It asks, let what's hidden come to light. Let what's false be exposed, and let what's true stand firm.
That is an appeal to the truth with a capital T.
It's risky, though, isn't it? Let what's hidden come to light. I mean, if you're guilty or if you have skeletons in the closet, that's a dangerous thing to pray.
It is. But that's why this is a divine peace. Deep dive. You can't have peace if you're hiding. The prayer assumes the person praying wants to stand in reality. And for the falsely accused, or for those who are overcharged, this is the ultimate plea. They're praying for the evidence itself to speak.
The source also uses a phrase I found really compelling about the outcome. It asks for justice that is clean and undeniable.
Clean and undeniable.
Yeah, not just let me win, but let it be clean.
Right. No dirty tricks, no clerical errors that drag it out, no corruption, just a clean, clear verdict. Undeniable means a result that settles the matter so completely that you can finally move on.
But notice it pairs that desire for justice with something else.
Favor where favor is needed, and mercy where mercy is needed.
That's the trifecta. Justice, favor, mercy. Could you break that down for us? Because usually we think of justice and mercy as complete opposites.
Well, they kind of are. Justice is getting what you deserve. Mercy is not getting what you deserve. And favor is getting a positive outcome that you don't deserve. In the legal system, you often need a mix of all three. Maybe you need justice for the lies in the police report, but maybe you also need mercy for the fact that you actually were there that night. And you definitely need favor. You need the judge to see you as a human being, not just a docket number.
It's a holistic request. It covers all the bases.
It covers the human element. The law is rigid, but the people administering it, judges, juries, are human. Praying for favor is praying for their hearts to be softened.
There's one more physical request in the prayer that I think people really underestimate: endurance in their body.
Oh, man. People have no idea.
It's just sitting, right? How hard can that be?
It is physically draining. The adrenaline dumps, the sleepless nights, the terrible food if you're in custody, just standing up, sitting down, waiting on hard benches for hours at a time. It wears you down.
And when you're physically exhausted.
Your will to fight just collapses. You might take a plea deal you shouldn't, just to make the pain stop, just so you can go home and sleep. Asking for endurance in the body is asking for the stamina to see the process all the way through.
And it also mentions wise words in their mouth.
Which is just as important. In court, one wrong word, one emotional outburst can cost you everything. Asking for wise words is also asking for the wisdom to just stay quiet when you need to. It's asking for control.
So we focused heavily on the defendant. But the source material widens the lens here, because nobody goes to trial alone.
The ripple effect.
Exactly. The prayer explicitly asks God to surround their family with comfort and cover them with protection. And it identifies three specific enemies of the family: harm, panic, and hopelessness.
Panic and hopelessness. Those are the twin killers for the family unit. Think about the mother waiting by the phone, the spouse trying to explain to the kids why dad isn't home.
The financial terror of the legal fees alone.
It's paralyzing, and hopelessness is the most dangerous one because the legal system is so slow, it grinds you down over months, sometimes years. It's so easy to start believing this will never end.
And the prayer treats the family as a unit under siege.
It asks for a shield around them, because if the family crumbles,
the defendant loses their lifeline. It's all interconnected. The peace of the family supports the endurance of the accused. If the person in jail knows their family is falling apart, they fall apart.
Absolutely.
The text describes the peace for the family as something that holds them up when everything feels heavy.
Like a pillar. When the weight of the state, the shame, the stigma is all pressing down, this peace is the structure that keeps them from getting crushed.
You know, as we go through all this, I'm realizing that this entire source text kind of reframes the goal of the legal process.
How so?
Well, usually the goal is just win, beat the case, not guilty. But this seems to suggest there's a different kind of victory. A victory in simply enduring it with your soul intact.
That's a profound insight. You can win the case but lose your mind. You can beat the charges but come out so bitter, so traumatized, and so broken that you aren't really free.
You're still in a prison, just a mental one.
Exactly. This divine peace is about preserving the person. It's ensuring that whatever the verdict is, guilty, not guilty, a mistrial, the human being at the center of it is still standing. They're still whole.
It's reclaiming your agency. The court can take your time, it can take your money, it can even take your freedom. But this text argues it cannot take your peace unless you let it.
And that goes right back to the very first line. God is still God. If you can hold on to that, the court loses its power to define who you are.
So bringing this deep dive to a close.
Whether you're listening to this because you have a court date tomorrow, or maybe a loved one is in the system, or frankly, maybe you just feel like life itself is putting you on trial in a different way.
The principles really hold up.
They do. Breathe. Regulate your body. Remember who is ultimately in control.
And use the mechanism, the trade. Anxiety for prayer, fear for Thanksgiving. It's a tool you can use in a holding cell, in a courthouse hallway, or in your bedroom at 3 a.m.
And you don't have to do it alone.
If you want to see the full text, the specific prayer, and the breakdown we discussed today, the source points to a website. It is legal-gangsta.com.
I love that URL. Let's spell that out just to be safe.
Good call.
Yeah.
That is legal-gangsta.com. Legal-gangsta.com. Go check it out. They have resources specifically for this kind of battle. And hey, if this deep dive hit home for you, or if you know someone who is silently drowning in legal stress right now, please share this with them.
It's often a very lonely struggle. You just never know who needs to hear that there is a way to find peace, even in the chaos.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. We talked about that phrase, peace that surpasses understanding.
It's the core promise.
We usually pray for the miracle of the outcome to change. We want the verdict to change. But consider this. Maybe the peace that surpasses understanding is the miracle of the person changing. Maybe the miracle is that you can stand in the middle of the worst storm of your life, and because of this internal trade you've made, you remain completely unshaken. There's a kind of freedom that no judge can grant and no prison can take away.
That's the real victory.
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.